Okay, so one of the first things that will happen once you have your awakening is that you'll notice that you're letting go of who you thought you were, your false self. And with that comes all these different old patterns and behaviors and tendencies and belief structures, and your whole world begins to shift. You enter into pretty much a new reality. And with that comes new relationships, new friends. And so one of the first things that's going to start happening is you'll notice that the people that were in your life prior to your awakening that you used to connect with and like energetically you were on the same level as them, it's not going to be the same after awakening. You're going to feel some kind of a disconnect. And this won't be with everyone, but it will be with a lot of your old friends and people that you were in relationship with, family members. It really can be whoever. But when you make that shift, when you experience that transformation and you go through the awakening process, again, everything in your life is shifting. And so one of the things that can happen is that we can start to feel lonely because typically what happens is we start to lose friends. These people that we had built lifelong relationships with all of a sudden feel like people we don't even know. And we used to have all these things in common. But again, what happens during the awakening process, so much of you changes. So much of what you used to like and what you used to do is no longer in existence. It's no longer a reality because there is a new you that is arising to the surface. And that's the whole process of discovering your true self and learning about authenticity and realizing that when you were living from the false self, from the ego, you were living to try to please people predominantly, maybe not all the time, but with that egoic consciousness, you realize that so many of the people in your life were in your life for not pure motives and not genuine reasons. They weren't authentic relationships. It was like, okay, I'm in this relationship or I have this friend because of what I'm getting out of them and because of what they are getting out of me. But it wasn't true. It wasn't a true relationship of like, I am friends with you because of you. I totally accept you and you are someone that I connect with and you're someone that I want to continue to do life with. That authenticity, that being genuine was not there. It was for all the wrong reasons and wrong motives. And so all that like has to go. All that is gets left behind in the past once you make that shift and you start living authentically. And a lot of times what happens is these relationships, these friendships in our lives are people that bring us down and keep us in a low vibration. Yet we continue and we remain friends with them because we feel like we have to, because we feel like if we don't, then there's going to be some kind of like judgment and hatred, and we're afraid of that, and we don't want to burn bridges. And so we end up jeopardizing our own inner peace in order to sustain so many of these relationships, toxic relationships that shouldn't be in our life. But when you awaken, when you go through that process, like I was saying, your vibration automatically starts to rise. And so as your vibration starts to rise and you're at a different frequency as what you used to be, and you're starting to experience more peace and joy because you're living from your authentic self, the first thing that will happen is when you try to hang out with your old friends, you're going to feel a disconnect. You're going to feel like something's off. It's not the way it used to be. And it's just going to feel like you're having to force things in order to make the relationship work. And I think the best way to describe it is that you just feel like you're trying to make something work that just isn't working anymore. It just feels off. And you can feel that. It's not so much of something that you know, like it's not something that you're thinking about. It's a deep impression. It's an intuition. You know that things aren't the same. And typically they can feel that same way too. And maybe they don't express it. Maybe they don't talk about it because they don't want to offend you, and vice versa. But ultimately, it's the relationship is not what it used to be. And you've got a decision to make. And so I think one of the biggest things we have to realize in life and just on the spiritual journey is that everything revolves around seasons. Okay, everything in life is about seasons. And of course we have this great example of that with the 4 seasons of the planet. Okay, and so that's kind of like, it's like one of those things, as above so below. So just like we have these 4 main seasons that show us everything's changing and there's these different shifts and patterns that take place. Well, the same goes for our lives and the relationships that we have. And so imagine you're like going down a river in a raft, and maybe you're like holding hands, you're connected to these people in this big group that are on other rafts. And for a while, for a season, like these are your people, this is the group that you're hanging out with. Everyone's kind of on the same page, the energy is the same. But then what happens in life as we go on is that the river splits off into 2 separate rivers, or maybe a stream or something. And so sometimes life just brings us in opposite directions. And so if you're having an awakening, chances are the people that you used to hang out with, the people that used to be in your life, your old group, your old community, your old church, whatever it is, there's going to be a disconnect. There's going to be a separation. And that's okay. That's actually healthy. It's actually necessary. But what do we do? Because we're so really obsessed with these relationships and these people that used to be in our lives, we try to make it work. We try to do everything possible to prevent that natural splitting from happening. And by doing that, we are actually hindering our own selves from growing and maturing and evolving spiritually, or in any area of life. But even with that, with rivers, what happens is sometimes you'll have a river that splits off from the main river, and then it'll loop back around. And so sometimes in life, what you'll find with friends, especially in the spiritual journey, is that you'll be friends with someone, you'll be close with them, and then for whatever reason, different seasons happen, you break off, you separate for a time. Maybe it's a few months, maybe it's a few years, maybe it's decades, but there's this full circle thing that happens, and you loop back around and you meet that person again way down the road, way down river in a different season of life, and the energy's there, and there's that connection and there's that vibe, and then you keep going with that for a while. That's just how life works. That's how relationships work. But the important thing to know is that we can't force things. We can't if we try to keep people in our lives that aren't meant to be in our lives, we are only hindering our own growth. And so it is absolutely necessary. And you'll feel that. Again, it's a deep resonance. You'll know that your intuitive heart will know, and you'll feel it in your body. You'll know when it's time to walk away from someone, when it's time to have that conversation or to confront someone or whatever it is. You'll know in your heart when to do it and exactly what to say. And it can be challenging and it can be heartbreaking. I've experienced so many times where I had to walk away from old friends or people that I was hanging out with because it was necessary. It was part of my spiritual journey. And it hurt, it was painful, but it was something that I had to go through. And just because you break away from an old friend or even a group or like a church or a spiritual community, whatever it is, doesn't mean that you have to like not like them or hate them. No, that's the ego. The ego will try to create all this like us versus them mentality, and like that's the ego. Don't pay attention to that. You can still love them. You can still pray for them. You can still wish the best for them, but ultimately you are on your path, And you have to realize that the people that you are surrounding yourself with will ultimately determine where you go in life and your state of being and your vibrational frequency. And so this is why it's so important. Friends are so important in life. And then, of course, I just thought of this. It seems like you have all these friends that come and go, and then especially after awakening, you lose a lot of friends. That's just part of it. And it feels like there's no one in your life, or you have just one friend or two friends that still get you, that still understand you, that you're energetically connecting with and on the same page with. But it seems like sometimes there's these people in our lives that we've always known them since we were like a kid, or maybe we meet them later in life. But when we meet them in life later on, there's such a deep connection, and it's like beyond the mind. So that, like, you can't understand it, you can't comprehend it. It's very spiritual. It's like this. It's this feeling of, I feel like I've always known this person, or you feel like the relationship that you had with them transcends the confines of this particular lifetime, this particular time and space reality that we live in. And so what is that? Well, I think that there are definitely people that we are friends with in this life that we've been friends with for many lifetimes. And so, again, it's not something you can necessarily prove or explain or understand from the finite mind, but I think it's something that we feel. It's this intuitive knowing that, hey, I don't know what it is, but as soon as I met this person, it was like there was this connection, and it was just like, yes, I've known you forever. And so what I'm saying is, well, maybe you have. Maybe there's this eternal relationship going on. Just something to think about. But anyways, that's my encouragement to you is, if you are someone going through a spiritual awakening and you're having a rough time, you're going through the dark night of the soul, and you feel like you're losing friends, no one understands you anymore, people think you're completely out of it, you're far out, that's normal. I'm telling you, I've experienced it. So many other people have experienced it along the way. And so there is this time, there is this season where people will walk out of your life and you will lose the friends. And I promise you, you will feel alone. But in that time of solitude, don't think that that is a bad thing. Don't disregard that time, because that time of you in that season of just really being by yourself, or maybe it's you and one other person, is vital for your spiritual growth and evolution, and it's necessary, and it's going to happen when you start changing. Here's the thing. The people that used to be in your life, for the most part, maybe close friends or like a spiritual community, really the main reason why you were with them was because you shared this common interest in spirituality or religion or like belief structure. And so what you realize is that there were so many people in my life where the only reason I was friends with them was because we believed the same thing. But then once I stopped believing what they believed and I changed my mind, then they couldn't be friends with me anymore. Or they thought I was like, going against their tradition or their religion. Therefore, I was the other. I was then part of the out group. And that's what you'll find. And so God will highlight that to you. God will show you the people that were in your life that you thought really loved you, that you thought were your true friend. But in reality, they were only friends with you. They were only accepting you because you were believing and practicing the same religion or the same denomination or the same spiritual life as they were. And so it really wasn't a true, genuine relationship, because as soon as you walked away from that, you had your awakening, you went through deconstruction, you changed your mind about all these things you used to believe in, then they left you, and now they won't even talk to you anymore. Why do you think that is? Well, maybe there was no true, genuine friendship there to begin with. So just something to consider. But again, my encouragement to you is to just hang in there and realize this. Realize that as you continue on this path, on this journey of awakening and transformation, God is going to start sending people into your life that really vibe with you, that energetically you're on the same level, there's that connection, there's that resonance, and you're going to feel a true, genuine flow to that. And it's going to feel authentic, and it's going to uplift you. These people are going to aid in your spiritual growth and development and transformation, and you are going to aid in their growth and development and transformation. And so there's going to be that mutual connection, and you're going to grow together, and it's going to be very healthy, and you're going to have that peace, and you're going to feel like, okay, these are people that I really do love and accept, and I feel the same way. I feel loved and accepted, and therefore I feel like I can really move forward and advance spiritually or in any area of life because of that. And that's what friendships are really for. That's what they were designed for, to help us. Because in the reality of it, we're not meant to live and experience this life alone. We were meant to be surrounded with people and community. That's all very healthy and very necessary. Although seasons of solitude are also necessary, but they both complement each other in a way, and they're part of the different seasons. But ultimately, we need people in our lives. We need community. We need good friends. But we need people that actually love and accept us for who we are. And during your awakening process, as you start to live authentically and your vibration rises, you are going to attract people that are very similar to your authentic self and are at that high vibrational frequency. And so you're not going to have to go out and find them and try to force these different relationships when there's really no connection. No, there's going to be a flow. It's going to be natural, and it's all going to work out. So hang in there, because the friends are coming. The people that you're supposed to be with are going to start to show up in your life when you least expect it. And you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You're going to feel that deep, intuitive knowing, that resonance, and it's just going to be there. And it's awesome. And I can say just from experience that this is what has happened to me. I went through my awakening. I lost pretty much all my friends except for a few close ones. But, ultimately new people started coming into my life at just the right time. And I will say that after awakening, typically you don't have as many friends as what you used to have. You have a smaller circle, but I would rather have a smaller circle with genuine, authentic people that actually love me for me, rather than 50 friends or 100 friends who just are friends with me because of whatever reason, So that's the way I see it, and that's the way it is. And then lastly, I'll just say this too, because I just thought about it. Sometimes you'll have these friends that even after your awakening, they don't agree with you on certain things. Maybe you have different views on religion or politics or theology, whatever it is. Yet there's that connection. And so just because someone believes differently than you or thinks differently than you doesn't necessarily mean that they'll be on a different level vibrationally. That doesn't necessarily mean that, because beliefs and how we view the world, a lot of that is coming from the mind, but these relationships that we have go beyond the mind. They're spirit. It's coming from the heart. And so energetically, it's just different. And most of the time, but these different beliefs and these different opinions and whatever, that tends to separate us. And after your awakening, you'll see that the people who used to believe what you used to believe, there's just that the old relationships aren't there anymore. But I'm telling you, there can be some people that see past that are mature enough to still love you for you, accept you for you, and they continue to be your friend, and they're lifelong friends. And again, this is beyond the mind. This is beyond beliefs and judgments and all of that stuff. It's something much more. So yeah, just be encouraged. And if you're someone who's going through an awakening, a dark night of the soul, I understand. I've been there, but better days are ahead. And the people that you're supposed to be doing life with are coming into your life. You have to give it time. And you just have to trust. You have to know that that's going to happen. So keep going, okay? All right, well, that's it for today. If you found this video helpful, informative, or insightful, please leave a thumbs up at the bottom of the screen and be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.